Hello, welcome to TMDWP, and today's episode has been triggered by something I read on the Classic DW Twitter feed a few weeks ago, where it was commented that the very early title sequence tests for the Paul McGann movie looked very First Doctor. Now obviously the person thought that meant that it looked like this, but it got me to thinking about why we call the various parts of title sequences the way we do. I mean, obviously this title sequence is most associated with the First Doctor, but it can also be seen on The Power of the Daleks, The Highlanders, The Underwater Menace, and The Moon Base. The one with his face only made its first appearance for the Macra Terror. However, due to the fact that only 3 of these 18 episodes survive, and that not many people are in the habit of watching their Lost in Time box set, this is largely forgotten. Troughton's main sequence also got a slight rearrangement of the theme, with a bit of a snappier opening, but essentially it remains sounding the same. With Spearhead from Space, what is commonly called the Pertwee logo arrives. Appearing for the next 4 series, the new title sequence was again accompanied by a slight rearrangement of the theme. What qualifies it as the Pertwee logo though? It's not the only one he had, and since the 1996 TV movie, it's been used for Doctor Who merchandise and it's still being used on DVD releases today. You then get the Diamond logo, which was used for Pertwee's last season, and 6 of Tom Baker's 7. You'd think that because the first title sequence is most associated with Hartnell because he had it for the longest time, that the same would apply to this logo, but for some reason it doesn't. I suppose we'd have to call it the Tom Baker logo in order to distinguish it from Collins. The Neon Tube logo is up next, and again because it spans more than one Doctor, it can't be named after one of the actors. This is accompanied by the Peter Howell version of the theme, and that brings in an interesting point, in that rearrangements of the theme are generally named after the composer or arranger who does it, whereas the logos and title sequences aren't named after their designers. I mean, up until Series 17, the theme had been arranged and rearranged a little bit a few times by Delia Derbyshire, and yet the title sequence had gone through 5 different versions, all designed by the same chap, Bernard Longe. More on him later. Colin Baker got a modified version of the Neon Tube logo, but I think it's similar enough to lump it in with its predecessor. However, and this is ironic for the shortest-lived classic Doctor, he got a change of theme halfway through his run, the Trial of a Time Lord, or Dominic Glynn version. Time in the Rani sees the debut of the last new sequence from the classic series by designer Oliver Elms, and the infamous Kev McCulloch theme makes its appearance. And so, after 26 years, we'd had 4 different people arrange the theme, and 3 designers work on so many brilliant sequences, gave us those variations on a theme. A few years ago, whilst I was studying at uni for a degree in animation and design, I was privileged enough to be able to write my final year dissertation on the Doctor Who title sequence, a document which is yet really to see the light of day. And I based most of that on an interview that I did with Bernard Lodge, though I did get to speak to Sid Sutton and Oliver Elms, who I contacted rather late in the day and so couldn't use any of his work. But I'd like to share with you over the course of maybe 2 or 3 podcasts some of the things that I learned and perhaps practically demonstrate some of the techniques that went into making those sequences. And next time, I'll take you to